talk to you about saving animals. And I'm going to start with a story about somebody that you probably already know. He's the world's first conservationist. His name is Noah. Noah and the Ark. Now, Noah doesn't have any special animal saving skills. I mean, he's an ordinary person like you or me. In fact, nowhere in the story does it even say he likes animals. But he's a good person. And so when he's told there's going to be a huge climate change, it's up to him to build an ark to save all the animals of the world. He does it because it's the right thing to do. Now, the boat that Noah builds, the ark, is different from other boats, not because of its design, not because of the materials, not because of the way it looks. It's different because of its function. You see, the role of a normal boat is to take you from one place in the world safely to someplace new. But the role of an ark is to keep you safe while the world around you becomes new. And Noah knows that the ark is safe because he sends off a pigeon. I know people say it's a dove, but they're actually the same bird. And when it doesn't come back, he realizes that the land is dry and it's okay for both humans and for animals. I want to tell you another story that has a boat, and it has people in it, and it has a pigeon. But this story doesn't end very happily. So in 1598, a boat brings Europeans to the island of Mauritius, and there they meet the world's largest pigeon. They call it a dodo because it's very friendly. It lives in the forest. It eats fruits and berries from the forest floor. It doesn't fly. They say the meat doesn't taste very good, but still it's aggressively hunted. And 80 years after it's first seen, it goes extinct. It's not only the hunting that does it, it's that they cut down the forest in order to plant palm oil plantations. Let's fast forward in time again to modern times. I want you to meet Fanny. So Fanny lives at Pandemonium Aviaries, which is the bird sanctuary that I run. Now, Fanny comes, or her ancestors come, from the island of New Guinea. In New Guinea, now the Victoria crown pigeons are the world's largest pigeons. They don't fly very well. They're very friendly. They live in the forest. They eat fruits and berries from the forest floor. And yes, they're hunted. And not only that, but the forests are being cut down in order to plant palm oil plantations. Sound familiar? So the question is, what's going to happen to the crown pigeons? Their future is not very bright because it's hard to do conservation in New Guinea. But in a strange twist of fate, something which wasn't very helpful for birds in the wild might be the saving grace for them now. You see, for a long, long time, we in the United States brought in hundreds of thousands of birds from the wild every year in order to be our pets. It's not legal to do that any longer. But some of the birds that were brought in, or their offspring, like Fanny, are still alive. Now, in terms of the crown pigeons, they're in the hands of a small group of breeders. These breeders are old, they're sick. When they die, the birds are sold at auction or given to friends and are effectively lost. And what's also as tragic is that the knowledge these breeders have accumulated over their whole lifetimes about how to care for these birds, that's also lost. But at Pandemonium Aviaries, we have a plan that just might save not only the birds, but the knowledge. And I'm going to tell you about that, but first let me tell you about Pandemonium. So we have 360 birds, 41 species, lots of aviaries. These are not pet birds, these are wild birds, they need places to fly. There are some of our aviaries. And this is how it started. I saw a white dove by the side of the road, St. Lawrence Expressway, on my way to the gym, thinking about working out. But the bird was hurt, and I love animals. I didn't particularly like birds. I didn't know anything about birds. I thought pigeons, doves. I love dogs and cats, but I didn't like to see something that was hurt by the side of the road, so I turned around and I picked it up, and I took the dove to a vet. I thought it had been hit by a car. Turned out it had been dropped by a hawk. One thing led to another. I ended up with a flock of doves. I built an aviary to house them. And then I went in search of knowledge. Because the web wasn't what it is today, I had to talk to a real person. I found a breeder who was breeding exotic doves and pigeons like Fanny. And he gave me not only information, but he gave me some birds he didn't want. And then his friends gave me birds that he didn't want, and then humane societies and rescue groups and individuals. And one day I woke up and said, oh my God, I've become a bird rescue. It's pretty unexpected. Well, things would have stayed the way they were, except that 5 years ago, this bird died. This is a green-naped pheasant pigeon, at one time quite common, and her mate cried and cried and cried and cried until I couldn't stand it any longer, and I said, I have to go out and find a replacement. I have to find a mate for him because he's so sad. And what I discovered was that in all the zoos in the entire world, there were only 32 green-naped pheasant pigeons left. That in the 10 years since I'd been doing bird rescue, the world of birds around me had changed. And once common birds were now going extinct in the wild. They were rare in captivity. And without my realizing it, my backyard had become an ark. And so I changed direction. Instead of one individual saving individual birds, became a nonprofit with a worldwide mission of saving lots of birds from extinction. Our program right now, our conservation program, is one in which we want to save the flocks of birds before the breeders die, before the birds are dispersed. Right now, Pandemonium Aviaries has more crown pigeons and more green-naped pheasant pigeons than just about any institution in the whole world. We're number 2 with all the zoos in terms of crown pigeons. We're number 3 in terms of green-naped pheasant pigeons. But we don't have enough yet to save the species should something terrible happen to them in New Guinea, and they should be gone there. In order to do that, we need to get the other birds that are here in the United States, a resource which is really being overlooked, and we need to bring them under conservation. And so our plan is that we will buy these flocks before the breeders are gone. We will let them stay with the breeders so their lives don't change, as long as the breeders allow us to have apprentices come, learn what they do, and then document it. Now, my backyard is not big enough for all of these birds. So our plan is that we will set up little arts in different parts of the United States because you don't want too many of one species at one place. And we already have some donated land. We've got much of the resources that we need in order to get the program up and running. Once we get the money to buy the birds, we'll be all set. So I want to thank you very much, and I want to ask you before I close just one question. And that is, if you had lived in the 1600s, would you have saved the dodo? You know, we have another chance. We have the crown pigeons. And this is Fanny. Thank you very much.